Can you just kind of take us through, I mean, obviously you were with Rhett at Miami. Can you just kind of take us through the experience to get to SMU with him and just, I guess, how, what are your thoughts about being here?
Oh man, just super excited. I've worked with Rhett, the last 2 years, so I had a chance to be in a room with him on a daily basis. You really find out about people when you share adversity, which I would say, every football season has adversity in it. At Miami, we shared some adversity a little bit, so you get a chance to see a person's real heart. You also get to see a person, how he treats other people, especially people that, in appearance can't help you, I guess. So you get to see how you treat people that are, cleaning up the building, that are doing things for you, GAs, quality control guys, and just, this portion of my career, I want to get behind somebody that I have great respect for. I don't want this just to be a job and show up. I want to follow somebody that I believe in. I believe in the mission because I know what type of person they are. And I've got the luxury to do that at this point in my career. And so it was a no-brainer coming here when he asked me, especially, after Coach Mandy got let go. And because I didn't know how that whole thing was going to unfold. And me and Rhett were talking throughout the whole thing. So I'm super excited to be here because of Rhett Lashlee, and I know what type of person he is, and I know what's going to happen here.
A lot of the guys that you guys signed and brought in, brought up your development with wide receivers. What do you prioritize with their games, especially to get some of those instant turnarounds, with some of those guys and really have productive seasons?
You mean like
some of the signees that have been watching your pass? I can't name some of them or commits or whatever too, but some of the guys are like watching Charleston Rambo and some of the other guys.
Guys that we have that are just coming in here now. And that was kind of a special thing, that having a chance to coach Charleston Rambo, who's like right from around here. And so those guys can instantly relate. Oh, I know him. And and I got a pretty good relationship with some of the coaches around here in this Dallas area. This was my recruiting area my first year when I was the offensive coordinator at Kansas. So I was down here quite a bit, running around with guys like Kenny Perry and stuff in the same car. I got some stories about that, but we had a lot of fun. But I got a chance to know all of those guys, and man, I just want to say this: how refreshing it is to be in the state of Texas when you go out recruiting, and the high school coaches, they are some of the best people, great men, good fathers. Just having conversations with these guys when I first showed up here was, it was just so refreshing. It was awesome to be here. But to answer your question, those guys really related to Charleston. I've had so many of the guys already come up and say, I watched your film because of him. And so that was kind of like an easy end. And I got a lot of relationships with guys. Jordan Curley, which, I coached at Arizona State. And which, by the way, I'm on record saying that when he was a true freshman, that he was going to be a great player there. So you can look it up, because he was. I thought he was outstanding. He was just, behind 2 first-round draft choices. So, man. So the ability for them to I had guys in my office. I met with each individual wide receiver so far that I've been here. And almost to a T, every one of them have already watched the film of our Miami games, So, having Charleston was a really big deal.
One of the guys you'll be working with, Bo Corrales.
Yeah.
How much of him coming to SMU was a result of conversations you had with Miami defensive coaches who had to scout and deal with this guy when he played at Carolina?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Though he had already made the decision to come here before I took this job. I recruited him as well at Arizona State. I remember him coming out. He was really good friends with Eno Benjamin. And so we talked a lot in this process, and then he just ended up signing with North Carolina. But when we first got to Miami, and it was in the middle of COVID year, and so we did a lot of work from home, and one of the very first things that we did was a film study as a staff on Zoom of North Carolina. It was like the very first game we popped in there, and there was Bo Corrales. I was like, there you go, Bo, all right. There you go, that's my guy. And he was making plays, and he was looking sharp. And then, so when I found out about this whole thing and that Bo had made his decision to come here, I was very excited. I think he's a sleeper type guy that a lot of people don't really realize how good he is, if he's, fully healthy and all that stuff.
Rob Likens, you've coached a lot of really talented guys. You mentioned Killiary and Quentin Patton, guys like that.
Yeah.
Are there some common traits amongst those guys that you see that enable those guys to be elite, aside from just pure ability?
Yes, love the question because I get to answer it like this. Those guys loved to practice. And a lot of young kids don't understand that, the preparation, because we live in such a society where, boom, we want things instantly. And to understand that is where you become great, is embracing the process of becoming great. You don't just say, I'm going to be great, and then you become great. No, you got to love that process that gets you there. And those three guys, especially Quentin Patton, practice every day was like the national championship. And you don't find that in a lot of players, but when you find it, it is like gold, and you instantly go, that guy right there is going to be big time. He's going to be successful because he loves the process. So that would be the number one thing that I would say.
Have you had a chance to really kind of study Rashee Rice? Obviously that's the guy that's, big time player from last year coming
Yeah,
back.
I have not. I have not. And this is kind of a weird thing that I do. Right or wrong, every job I've ever taken, I never watch the film. And it's because I want to form my own opinions when I get there. I don't want to say this guy should be our starter, this guy should. And I think it puts everybody on a lot of coaches talk about it, but I really do believe it just puts everybody on an even plane, and you let them go to work, man. And they got to compete for that job, and they got to stick out, and they got to show that you can do it. Now you hear things, obviously, but I have not watched any of their film.
Is there any maybe previous example where that ended up, maybe a guy really came from not doing much, but then you got fresh eyes on him and you really elevated? Is there any time where maybe that thought process really panned out well for a specific player?
Well, I heard Scott speaking. It is true, whether coaches want to admit it or not, players can get in a so-called doghouse and looked at a certain way because of maybe this happened or this happened, string along a couple bad practices. And here's what I found is getting through this profession and getting older and dealing with kids and dealing with my son. A lot of kids live up to the expectations you set. And so if you get down on them, they're going to play down. And so that can happen, But when you come in and you believe in a kid, and maybe a coach never really talked to this guy and said, hey man, you can be great. That happened to me as a kid in high school. I still remember the first time my head coach told me he loved me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a football coach for the rest of my life. I remember that. And so, that's what I'm excited about. I'm so excited to find guys and help this guy over here because yes, when went to Miami, you get there and people go, well, this guy's this guy is that, and they already put him in a box, and I'm like, I don't want to hear any of that stuff, man. I just want to go out there with fresh eyes and a fresh thought about that kid, and then proceed from there.
When you get to know your team, there's some coaches who take receivers and say these guys are outside guys and these guys are slot, and there are other coaches who like to mix and match and move people all over the place. Do you like to have your receivers play multiple positions or focus on one or two and stay there and perfect that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I get asked that a lot. To start out, I like them to stay there, if you're an outside guy, be outside. First of all, to answer the question, what we look for. So if you're going to play outside receiver now in today's world, you've got to beat press coverage. If you can't get off bump and run press coverage, you can't play outside receiver in college anymore because you're going to get that 80% of the time, man. That's going to be your life. And so if you don't have quick lateral movement side to side, right, then you're going to have to go play inside. All right. In our offense, a lot of times, shorter guys under 5'11", the 5'10" on down usually don't correlate to being an outside receiver because of the length that you have to have and some of the things that we do, back shoulder fades, deep balls, things like that. So most of those guys go ahead and they line up at slots if you're 5'10", or down. So that's kind of how we line them up. But, also, I like to develop guys and develop them. I tell them, dude, I'm going to help you try to be an all-conference player here at SMU, and I hope we win a national championship. But at the same time, I'm going to try to develop you to go play in the NFL as well. And to do that, you got to be able to move around, son. You got to be able to go outside, inside, and all of that. Learn one first, and then we'll go from there. But I do put that on the radar that during meetings, while I'm coaching the outside receivers, you inside guys, you need to listen. Also, when you game plan, you want to take an outside receiver. Like at Miami, we had Charleston Rambo, we had another guy, and they had great speed. So if they're going to give us a free release off the line of scrimmage on the inside, and we can get up on safeties really quick. Well, I'm going to go get my fast dude, and I'm putting him on that safety who's a run filler, but he's not a great cover guy. And we're going to go wear you out. So he's going to have to come inside and learn some subtleties about playing that inside position. All right, so you got to kind of keep that in mind as you're coaching those guys, but they're responsible too of paying attention, because it's a different position when you're coaching.